if you're thinking about moving, don't think about it too long. I mean, you can think and think and think and never do anything.
We didn't bring anything with us. No furniture. I think we had, 6 suitcases?
7 suitcases,
7.
I believe.
It was just really sad for us to not be able to be more a part of their lives. Maybe someday, we could move to France. All of a sudden, he said, let's do it.
After more than 40 years in Texas, Mike and Diane realized the life they had built no longer reflected the life they wanted to live. From suburban Texas to rural North Carolina, and eventually to the Atlantic coast of France in La Rochelle, their journey became less about retirement and more about redefining what home, freedom, and fulfillment could look like in the second half of life. Part of that connection to France was also deeply personal. Their daughter and grandchildren had already built a life here, making France feel less like a fantasy and more like the beginning of a meaningful new chapter. In this episode, Mike and Diane share the emotional and practical reality of starting over after 60. Selling everything, letting go of old identities, learning French, le français, building community, and embracing a slower, more intentional rhythm of life in La Rochelle. Mike and Diane, bonjour!
Bonjour.
Comment ça va? Comment ça va aujourd'hui?
Très bien, très bien.
Ça va bien, merci. Et vous?
Oui, très bien. Oh, thank you so much for accepting to come to the Feel Good French podcast today. So for a little background story, I know Mike and Diane very well because I've been teaching French to you. So I've been following a little bit your adventure, your integration in La Rochelle, and I'm really happy to see you today and to speak about your story, your story of retirement in France. And so could you tell us a little bit where you are calling us from today? I see that you have this beautiful background that I noticed before with the frame. So first of all, are they your frames? And did you install it in your flat? And where are you calling us from today? Could you give us a little background?
So we've been here in La Rochelle for about a year and found an apartment.
In Old Town.
In Old Town La Rochelle in the city center. We didn't bring anything with us, and so we brought a few things like some personal items and all to decorate with, but not very much at all. No furniture. I think we had 6 suitcases?
7 suitcases,
7.
I believe.
Yeah, that's what we came with from when we left. And so these were a part what I brought. They were special to me. My daughter and granddaughters gave me a book one year for my birthday, and all these prints were in there, and I thought one day I would like to frame them. And so when we got here, we had this big wall in the kitchen, and I thought, well, that would be a perfect spot for them. So I found the frames and framed them and put them up there, and I love them. Very special.
I was asking that because they are very pretty, and I know that you are currently renting your flat, and I was wondering, is it part of your own decoration? And because I know it's a different lifestyle to rent a flat after being owners in the USA. So I was just wondering how if you already have something that really belongs to you in the place where you currently live.
It's difficult to find an apartment being, to the country. We didn't have any history here. So it took us a little while. We lived in an Airbnb for
3 months.
3 months, and we had help. We hired someone to help us find an apartment. And so when she found one, finally, someone who would accept newcomers to the country, they didn't know us, and so, but she found someone, and she said, I recommend that you take the apartment because there aren't very many. And so we took it. It was not furnished. There was nothing in here except the kitchen. It did have the stove and refrigerator and dishwasher and a washing machine. So we were really thankful for that, but nothing else. And so we had to scramble to find places to purchase furniture and
IKEA and brocante.
IKEA, yeah,
brocante. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yes, I love the brocante. So that's what I'm decorating with mostly, is going to the antique shops, brocantes, flea markets, and I like to find old things to decorate with. And I have brought just a few personal items that I loved and that were special to me to decorate with. And but everything else is new or used that we purchased.
Well, I was just going to say we were very fortunate when we decided to move to France. Is when we sold our house, our last house, the folks that bought it purchased all our furniture and everything we owned, just about. So we could leave everything that we didn't want to take with us to France, basically in the house, you know. So that was very, very fortunate for us. But this apartment was not what we were looking for. We had a certain set of things that we wanted in an apartment, and this has none of them.
Ah no, what did you have to let go of? What did you let go of? The AC, or what was the things that the apartment doesn't have?
Well, we wanted a place with a garage so we could have a car, because we haven't gotten away from the whole idea of not having your own vehicle. We wanted the first floor. This has first floor. We wanted a furnished apartment, and that wasn't available. So we learned pretty quickly that we had to be flexible if we were going to live in La Rochelle. And we wanted to give La Rochelle a shot the first time. And we're glad we did, I think. I think
we like it here.
We do like
a
it
lot.
here. We still haven't warmed up a lot to our apartment, but the town and the area is great. So, you know.
Yeah, because you live near the port, so it's a very good location.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Everything's within walking distance. Everything.
Yeah, we walk out the front door and we just have access to everything. We walk to get groceries. We can walk to the doctor. We can walk to the pharmacy, to
The central market.
everywhere, to our French lessons where we go, and it's just very convenient.
Yeah.
And
this
maybe,
location.
I think that's a
Maybe-
big life change.
yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get over the fact that we really don't need a car. But
We don't.
it's
here.
just almost like a habit that we've always had our own
Yeah.
transportation, and now we don't.
But you tell me that you are renting a car when you need to, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the mass transit, the buses are great, the ride share is great, the rental car agencies are within walking distance. I really don't need a car, but it's almost.
But
Yeah.
he's just having trouble not having his own car. But when we need a car, we're just a few minutes away from the area where we go online and rent the car, and we can use it for the day or
A couple of days.
Yeah.
It's very convenient.
And it's economical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
C'est pratique.
You know, it's certainly possible and very likely that you
Yeah.
could survive in La Rochelle without an automobile.
Oh, a lot of people do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lifestyle change that I haven't gotten quite used to.
Exactly. Yeah, exactement. But it seems that you already changed your mindset and your expectation. Like you mentioned that you had to let go of a lot of things to accept this flat. And I was wondering because you said that quickly you came to the realization, okay, we have to accept this flat if we want to live in La Rochelle. Is it the person you worked with that helped you to kind of change your expectation, or is it chatting with other people that had to go through the same process? How did you manage to let go of your expectations?
La Rochelle is close. It's on the Atlantic, which means it's a tourist town. And a lot of towns in France are going through the same thing. I believe that there's fewer rentals and more Airbnbs for short-term rentals for vacation properties. And that seems to be the issue with La Rochelle, but according to the mayor, that they're trying to limit the number of Airbnbs so they could have more rentals, long-term rentals. And I think that's what happened to us. There was a bunch of Airbnbs just
They were just limited on apartments.
on long-term rentals
Yeah.
in La Rochelle. You know, you can get outside La Rochelle. It opens up a little bit. But we only were able to see 2 apartments. And the first one was on 3 different levels. And I don't think our knees would have lasted long.
A very steep staircase with no handrails. So I was like, oh, I don't think.
It happens a lot in France not to have elevator because the buildings are so ancient, and that's something to be aware of. Yes, the cities are so pretty, but it's true that often you don't have elevator, and so first floor for you is really good then. With your little caddy, you told me that you have a caddy. Like a little trolley. You
Oh,
told
yeah,
me that you
yeah,
have a
we a
little
cash
trolley.
line
Yeah.
grocery. Yeah,
Yeah.
I sure
Yeah.
do. A good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great.
Well, that's your new car, Mike.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it.
But-
Well, no, I do have transportation. I have an electric bicycle that we purchased, and I can get out and go to the other villages that are close by. So it's not like everything's on foot. I can get out,
Okay. Yeah.
and you know, I mean, it's fine. I could make it without a car, but we'll see how it
Well,
goes. We're flexible. We're very, very flexible right now, and we're going to see. I mean, like you said, we changed our plans 2 or 3 times before we ended up here, and I'm sure we'll adjust our thinking now that we're here once or twice more.
We're learning to be more flexible, I think, because everything is so different. And we're doing just fine in this apartment. It's smaller than what we wanted. It doesn't have an outdoor area for us to, like a terrace or anything like that. So we really miss that. We would love to have an outdoor area where
Yes,
we
I
can
understand.
drink coffee. So eventually we'll be looking for something else. But
Yeah.
we've just been here a year now, and in the apartment really for about 8 or 9 months. maybe.
Right. The apartment is a low priority right now. I mean, it's a place to live. It's a place for us to finish all our stuff. We did not make a mistake on our area.
If you are learning French and looking for a bit more structure and guidance, I also share a free weekly newsletter called Feel Good French Friday. It's designed especially for beginners and expats or future expats with simple content in French to help you build a regular learning routine. Because apps and the internet are amazing, a lot of free content out there, but sometimes having a bit of direction and support from a teacher and a language coach can make a difference. You can sign up for free. The link will be below the video. I feel it's a little bit a shift in terms of lifestyle, because I imagine from what I gather that in the US most of people have cars and they have houses with garden and barbecue, and at least if you live more in the outskirts or if you don't live in big cities. And I think life is a lot about your home and like having your home nicely furnished. And from what I gathered from my students and what I hear, and I think in France life is maybe more towards the outside, at least in cities. Like when people live in the cities, they have usually a smaller flat, maybe a little balcony or something like that. But life is happening a lot outside as well, in cafe, in restaurants. And I think that's what you are also experiencing here. You are going more outside, no? You told me how much you like strolling and walking in those beautiful streets, no? In La Rochelle.
In La Rochelle, they have a fantastic market. It's a big building, and also the streets that are surrounding that building on especially the Wednesday and
Wednesdays and
Saturday market. It's just spread out, and we're so lucky to have access to that. It's beautiful, and they just have everything there, produce and fresh food. It's just so, I love it. I love to go there and get the.
So you are losing on like maybe the home comfort, but you are gaining on the experiences outside, and like the life experiencing. I imagine it's different.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
It's different, and I don't think we have any regrets
Oh,
at
no.
all on making the move or making it to La Rochelle. That's for sure. But it's like living in the Magic Kingdom, with all those old buildings. It seems like you're just walking through a medieval village.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like walking through history. Yeah.
The age of things, it's just incredible.
Yeah, City Hall was
The
built
history.
in the 1400s, and it's still all Galilei,
And being from the New World, if I can call the USA the New World, for you, it's like, I'm used to it. I'm used to seeing history everywhere in Europe. But I know that for you, it's very, very special because it's not like that where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. Well, this apartment is 150 years old. The building that's in the apartment that we live in is 150 years old, and it's a newer building.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me rewind a little bit. You mentioned that you had this chance that the people that bought your house bought everything. Like you told me, Mike, as well, that you had this woodwork, like your hobby was to do like a bit of carpenting, like you like
I
to
had a
work on
woodworking shop.
wood. Yeah, so people bought everything. So that didn't even let you this option to decide what to take, what not to take. You just basically let go of most of your belongings. So like very minimalist of you. I know it's hard to let go of things, but can you just explain a little bit the fact that you had other plans about retirement? So you were in Texas and you worked hard, the two of you. I know that you had intense jobs, like you work quite a lot, and you decided to take this retirement, and you had this plan to move to North Carolina, but things did not work out the way you wanted. So could you tell us a little bit of when you started to change plans and why did you decide to just go towards the other side of the Atlantic instead of being in North Carolina? Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Has lived in France for 20 years. And she came over after she graduated university. She was just going to be here for a year. And then after that year, she loved it. She said she wanted to stay for another year before coming back to the States. And during that second year, she met the guy who is now her husband. And so they got married. And now we have two beautiful granddaughters. And it was just really sad for us to not be able to be more a part of their lives. Maybe we were lucky to get to see them maybe once or twice a year. And so that was very difficult. So I started thinking, after I retired before Mike did. And after I retired, I started thinking, well, maybe someday, maybe we could move to France. And I mentioned it to him and he said, oh no, we can't no, we're not going to do that. So I kind of let
it was a crazy idea, Mike, for you?
Yeah.
It seemed really crazy.
He just didn't think it would be possible for us to do that.
Right. We had a life in the States.
Yeah. So I just let it rest for a while. And when it got closer to his retirement, maybe a year out of, before he retired, I kind of mentioned it again. And I don't know. I think he thought about it a little bit. And so I started doing research on, well, if we did move to France, where would we want to go? And so I really watched a lot of YouTube videos on different cities, different small towns. I knew exactly, we had a list of what are the things that we would need to have in our town or in our city.
The criteria, no?
So that's what we did. And we started researching all the places that were kind of the size that we would want and where we would have easy access to the things that we needed. We really liked the idea of living on the coast. And so we researched coastal cities and just kept coming back to La Rochelle. La Rochelle just always, everything pointed right back. So I said, I think that's where we would want to go. And,
what was on your list, Diane? What was on your short list? Apart from La Rochelle, you had other towns in mind?
Our family lives in Normandy. And so we thought we should probably live closer to them. But the more I thought about it, I thought, we can live anywhere in France and still have easy access to them. The train system, in a car. I mean, we can still see them anytime we want to, pretty much.
More than once a year.
Yeah. And we don't have to live right there next to them. We didn't have to. It would be nice to be closer, but... And
we've spent Christmas in Normandy. We have spent Christmas in Normandy.
No way.
Very, very warm.
It's cold. But some of the other...
Ah oui, il fait froid.
Yes. Very cold.
And rainy. But the other towns that we had, so along the Atlantic coast, we kind of looked at a few places up closer to Brittany. Kept coming back here. We thought about looking at, we did look at Sainte,
yes. Yeah. Sainte, is it a Charente-Maritime?
Châtelet-en-Plage.
But we were really drawn to the climate here. versus northern France with that cold wind coming off the.
Ah oui,
the cheek.
il pleut beaucoup.
Yeah, and
In Brittany, la pluie.
we lived in Texas, and we're not a fan of the heat. We had enough of the heat, and so we didn't want to live in the south of France. And this is just right in the middle, so climate kind of brought us here. And we've only been here a year, and so far the climate's been very, very pleasant for this year.
You've been enjoying the weather? Not too much rain?
Not bad.
There was rain. There was kind of a rainy season, I think, where there were several weeks of a lot of rain, but then it went away and the sun came, and almost every day, even if we do, like today, it's a little cloudy, maybe a little bit rainy, but the sun always shows up. It's just great. There's always a time, it seems like, during the day when you can get out and go get some sunshine.
Yeah, it's especially now in the spring, it's changing a lot. It's like a day, you have different stage of the day, like sun, le soleil, le vent, la pluie. Like, it's changing a lot. So you have to really appreciate the pocket of sun when it comes. You have to go out when there is sunshine. No, I have to go marcher. How did Diane convince you? Like, is it like, did you start watching those YouTube videos with her, or how did the idea grow on you?
Yeah, I was looking at the videos. I could see the attraction. I mean, we'd been over here lots of times, and I could always see the attraction of France. I just didn't think, there's a difference between visiting and living, and I thought, well, I mean, we live in the States. And then when we went to North Carolina, I figured, oh, this is it. We found the perfect place to live. And I thought we did. But it was a town of 900 people. And it was 45 minutes driving to, 20 minutes to the next larger town. And then 45 minutes to a larger area where they had big hardware stores and big, supermarkets and things like that. So there was a commitment to living where we lived. It was on the coast, but it had everything we needed. But as I could see, as we got older, it was going to be more and more difficult for us to live in that town. And,
what was the name of the town? Maybe that will interest people to know.
Oriental, North Carolina.
It's beautiful.
It's on the Inner Banks. It's a great town.
It's the sailing capital of North Carolina.
That's right. It's on the intercoastal. I mean, I could put my boat in the water in 5 minutes? 5 minutes, I'm in the water. And it was just lovely place. But, and no traffic lights. There was no traffic lights. There were only 2 traffic lights.
Oh, really?
In the whole county.
There was only 2 traffic lights, so.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We were spoiled to not having very many cars or people around.
Yeah, so this is quite a change for us here. This is,
we
went from a lot of traffic and automobiles to no traffic for people or automobiles, and now walking traffic and bicycle traffic.
You said that it was pleasant, and you decided willingly to go to North Carolina, and it was also like your first dream of retirement, and there was really like positive aspect. But once you were there, you were kind of comparing this life with the potential life in France. Was it always in the background? What if we would move? How did the decision to give up on this first retirement started to happen?
Well, I think some of it was because we were going to get older there, and in the 7 years that we were there, we were hit by 2 hurricanes in 7 years. And, okay, that's fine. We can handle it. Will we be able to handle it in 10 years? Those thoughts are in the back of your mind as well. This is great, but along with that, there's, some things you have to put up with.
Especially with the job you had, Mike. People don't know the job you had. Maybe you can say a little word about it.
I was in an industry that, dealt with disasters all the time and disaster response. So I knew what could happen. And, we had one serious hurricane while we were there, 6 months after we moved into our house and just got it all finished. And then we had to start again. And then the second one, we were very, very fortunate and had very, very little damage. you get older and you go, oh my goodness, am I going to want to be out here with a chainsaw cleaning up limbs and trees
Yeah, of
for
course.
6 years, you know? So
Yeah, but he surprised me because as we were approaching his retirement, I still had the dream, and I was still just really hoping that he would someday say, let's move to France. And I'm not really sure what flipped the switch, but all of a sudden he said, let's do it. So I said,
Ah,
yeah. So he retired
that's interesting.
like September of 24.
four.
And we got the house ready to put on the market and put it on the market in November, I think.
October.
And then it sold it right away. And I had just really been hoping and praying that someone would come and buy the house and want everything in it. But I thought that just can't happen. But anyway, I still want because I couldn't stand the thought, of having to sell off bits and pieces of all of the things that we had collected through our life. I just couldn't stand the thought of that. And I thought,
Yes.
if I could leave the house like it is and just leave everything in place and leave, then that would just be the perfect way to do it. And that's exactly what happened. So
Well, you manifested it. It seems that you had this idea and it just happened. So it's wonderful.
very thankful. But yeah, when he finally said, let's do it, I was on it. I mean, we got everything together, and he retired in September, and we left North Carolina in December.
Yes, the
December.
house closed December 19th.
And then something that I want for you to, if you want to share with our listeners, is that you are also quite down to earth because you had this idea, but you decided not to go straight away to La Rochelle or to France, but you prepped your move by going back to Texas. So could you say a word about it?
We went back to Texas and we took the goodbye tour for all our family and friends that we had in Texas, you know, because first we had the goodbye tour in North Carolina because we had met some great people in North
We
Carolina.
left really good friends there.
Really good friends. And then we went back to Texas and took the goodbye tour. New Mexico, North Texas, South Texas. We went all through Texas saying goodbye to everybody. And started our visa process because there's one of the centers was in Houston. So we could, wasn't it in Houston?
Mhm.
Yes, it was in Houston. So we could get all our paperwork done locally. And it was convenient, and we had a niece in Lake Conroe, so we moved to Conroe when we went back to Texas, and that was our base while we were there and getting everything done. And it didn't take that long. It was pretty smooth. Our relocation company did a great job, and I mean, we have had no hiccups at all on any of our paperwork or anything.
Yeah.
We can mention that your daughter works for a relocation agency. So
Right.
that's the one you used, right?
Mhm.
Well, what happened is that Deanne she said, how are we going to do this? And I said, we need help. I mean, you know, surely there's lawyers or somebody that, you know, helps you with these things. So being as thorough and a researcher as Deanne is, she started finding one, and you know, there's the big names, and we got down to 2 or 3 that we were really paying attention to, and one of them was Your Transformation. And Dee said, well, this looks like a good one. And they look like they offer a whole slew of things. And it's a la carte. You can get them to do whatever you want them to do. And they'll help you. And she was, okay, so yeah, great. And then she was looking, she said, they need help. And Lacey was looking for a new job. So she told
That's
Lacey
how
about
it
it.
happened. I see. I
And
thought
that's
she
how
already, okay.
Yeah, I told her, I said, you may not be interested in this. I have no idea, but I just saw online where this company that we're going to use to relocate is hiring. And she interviewed and got the job. And so it's...
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It seems that everything, as soon as you decided to come to France, everything aligned because you
Yeah.
even gave a new job to your daughter. I didn't know that she found the job through you. I thought that maybe you tagged along, like she had this job and maybe that made everything easier. But I didn't know that. It's a good story.
In the beginning, everything just fell into place.
Yeah.
Really wonderfully. We were very, very fortunate the way things have happened.
I think that they're even amazed how smoothly our things went because Kim at your transformation kept saying, "Wow, we got this paperback already." Well, we were here a month when we went and had our physical for our
for our
was it drawing complete carte vitale. Carte vitale.
La carte vitale, yes.
Yeah, we were only here
It went
a
fast
month.
for you.
And,
Un mois, 1 month.
Yeah, and it was
Wow.
quick. And then something
Très
else
rapide.
happened. Yeah, something else happened, and Kim said, "I can't believe they got back with you so quick."
Everything's been pretty smooth
Pretty
for us.
smooth,
We've been
pretty smooth.
fortunate. Yeah,
I only heard positive feedback about your transformation as a relocation agency, so I think maybe also they do a good job.
They really do. They've
Yeah.
made it
It was painless.
they made it painless for us. Really, it's so
Yeah.
helpful.
That's a good way to put it, painless. But Mike and Diane, you also mentioned to me that going back to Texas in terms of the paperwork and administration made it easier to have like your last address in Texas, especially for the driving license and the taxes. So was it also something that you were thinking consciously, like, okay, let's go to Texas first, get an address there, and like then the move will be based on the last location?
Well, yes, and it wasn't like we were concerned, and we weren't sure what the rules were. We knew that Texas had a reciprocating agreement on driver's license where you could just exchange your Texas license for a French one, but we didn't know if there was a time frame how long you had to have residency. So when we went to go get our Texas driver's licenses, they gave us our same driver's license that we had before we left for North Carolina, because you also need your driving record. So our driving record from Texas went back 40 years.
Well, from when I learned to drive in Texas, and I got my first driver's license when I was 16. My record went all the way back to when I was 16 years old. So the fact that we had moved away for a while and then went back didn't matter. And
Yeah, we had the same driver's license numbers and everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that made everything very, very easy because it looked like, so what you got 40 something years of stability there, and and very few tickets.
So it did make it a lot easier for us to be able to trade our Texas driver's license for the French license instead of having to go back all the way through driving school and
I know it's a big block for a lot of people because it's not, I think in France it's harder than in the US from what I gathered, like this theoretical exam, le code, and also there is the French language that you have to learn things in French, or maybe I think it might be possible to take the theoretical exam in English. I'm not sure. Yeah.
You may be able to take the test, but the driving part of it is all in French with your instructor in the car with you. And so he will be doing instructions at you in French.
Yeah.
Is what I understand. We were fortunate.
We wanted to avoid that if possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Le permis de conduire. But is it okay for you to drive in France? Did you get used to la priorité à droite, like the right priority? And did you get used to all of that?
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah, and we did buy a little book, a handbook that tells us what all of the signs mean, and it's a little driver's handbook, and we found one in English and purchased that so we could study up on the road signs and the different rules of driving and everything in France.
Great.
So that's been very helpful.
Everything's so different. I mean, anybody that moves here has to know that everything is so different. And it's a learning experience for everything, even paying parking. Everything's so different.
It just takes a while to learn.
Yeah.
Every day is a new experience.
Exactement. It's like leaving your comfort zone, la zone de confort, tous les jours, every day. You have to kind of... And I've been seeing you in your day-to-day life, and I wanted to go back now towards La Rochelle, because I saw you months ago when, you were still like settling, and at first I remember that you didn't have a lot of friends. You were kind of... I remember you came to me saying that you were looking for French classes, but like face to face, but you couldn't find any. So that's why you came to me to have classes online. And step by step, I remember that I mentioned to you l'AVF, Accueil des Villes Françaises, because I know it's a structure that are based in most of the French towns and cities, and it's for people who first arrive in a French town or French city in order to integrate the new people. And so you find French people, you find expats, and it's a place that offers a lot of things, and including French classes. And I remember seeing the difference between before you went there and after you, I saw the before and after, and I think it had a tremendous impact on your integration, no?
Every Wednesday we go to Parler Français, which is a French language school that we found out about through the AVF. And it's been so helpful. We do that, and then we also go to a French conversation class after that. But, yeah, we're so thankful to have found that, because we've met people through there, and just the teachers are great, and the people are great. And also, a couple of times a month, there is an English-speaking group that meets at a little cafe, and we meet up with them. Originally, when we went, it was just so that we would have someone to speak English to, because it's really difficult just being in a French-speaking town and not having anyone to talk, to really have conversation with before you learn how to really speak French, which we're not quite there yet. But we started going to that, and that has turned out to be just a wealth of information. Everyone there, with a couple of exceptions, are French locals. They live in Rochelle, and they're so helpful to give us information about different things, and then they get to speak English and practice their English with us, and it's just been a really great find to have that.
Yeah, because we have to say that your situation is quite different than a lot of American expats or retirees, is that you didn't go for the most common destination with a massive expat hub. Like La Rochelle is not quite like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we lived here probably
6 months and saw one group of people from the States.
Yeah, we never met anyone who speaks English. We saw one family at a restaurant, and I had to approach them and tell them, "You're the first Americans I've heard since we've lived here." And so I visited with them a little bit. And then
that's good.
after we joined AVF and the French classes through them, then we have met another American couple and just people from all over the world in there. It's really wonderful. But most of the people there do speak English, but some English.
Some English,
Yeah.
Was it part of your criteria to choose a place with not a lot of Americans, not a lot of expats? Was it something that you wanted?
It was for me, and
Yes.
we had talked about it because we didn't want to fall into that bubble of only having English-speaking friends, because we wanted to incorporate into the culture and, learn French. And I had a feeling that if we moved someplace where we were only among English speakers, it would be more difficult for us to learn, how to really get along in the French culture. So this is what we wanted. It's more difficult, I have to say, but I think in the end it'll be more rewarding for us.
And have you been seeing your family more than when you are in the USA? Have you been seeing?
Oh yeah, and I think just the comfort of knowing that we're closer to them has
Exactly.
helped a lot.
Yes.
Because we don't get to see them all the time. The girls are both in middle school now, and our daughter works a lot, and so we don't get to see them a whole lot, especially during the school year, maybe on some holidays, and then in the summer. But yeah, we see them more.
Well, it's averaging about once every 2 months, I think.
Mhm.
So yeah, once every 2 months instead of once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. In terms of the life in La Rochelle, could you compare, like, let's say, for instance, one day in life of Mike and Diane compared to when you were in North Carolina? Could you describe the contrast and the differences between a day in La Rochelle and a day as a retiree in North Carolina?
Not really. There's no comparison.
Yeah.
Ah non.
I walk everywhere here, and I never
Mhm.
walked any place in North Carolina. I would walk to the and get into the golf cart and drive the golf cart around town. I had a route that I took every day
Ah yeah.
around town to make sure everything was all right, and then I would just go into my shop, and that's what I did. Then on Friday nights we always went out with our friends, and that we would go either in Oriental or New Bern or one of the surrounding towns. We'd meet somewhere, and it's a completely different lifestyle. I mean, there was no cafe society in Oriental, North Carolina. So here, we walk everywhere, doing our daily lives, and then we'll stop at a cafe or a bistro, and have an aperitif, or.
And in the States, for me, thinking I would do grocery shopping maybe once a week, big grocery shopping in the States. Here, we go, it's almost every day we'll end up going. And Mike is doing almost all of that now, whereas he never did any of it before. But
Intéressant.
we'll walk to the store and get whatever we need to supplement dinner, or maybe for breakfast the next day. He goes to the boulangerie to get the baguette for breakfast every day, and sometimes an occasional treat.
What was your favorite pâtisserie again, Mike? It was your favorite pâtisserie. Is it the lemon?
Casson au citron.
Chausson au citron. Mm. Yeah.
And
I know you are a big fan of Picard, no? You like Picard a lot, Mike. You mentioned.
Oh, that's the best store ever.
he takes it to
Well, Dee orders everything online, and then I take my bicycle over there and just show them my email, my confirmation email. They give me my food, and I'll put it in the bicycle saddle bags and come home. I mean, it's just easy.
Yeah, and it's so convenient, Picard, to have all those frozen vegetables, different things to supplement that I can just have on hand in the freezer if we run out of the fresh vegetables or fruit or meat or whatever. Then we always have that backup from Picard.
Yeah.
And it is really good frozen food.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's good quality.
It's
Good
like
quality.
more like luxurious than regular frozen food. It's a bit more. The standard is higher, I think. Yeah. So yeah, it's big. It's a big difference. And you mentioned that you like to work on wood. I think Diane, you are also you used to sew a lot when you were in the USA. No, you mentioned that. So what are your hobbies here?
I have taken up more. I crochet, and I've got a little sewing machine, and so I still do a little bit of sewing, not as much, but I stay pretty busy still, just decorating the apartment and finding things. On a quest to find specific things to fill in here and there. So different antique shops and different stores to find little things here and there to build our nest.
You like les antiquités. You like second hands, like les antiquités, like the antiquity and le marché aux puces. You have a flea market, you mentioned, no? Like
yes,
in La Rochelle.
In La Rochelle, and they're open several days a week, and so I'll go in the morning sometimes and walk around there to just see if there's anything. And I went on Saturday and found a couple of items there that I liked, that I wanted to bring home, and so I do enjoy that.
I think you mentioned to me a funny story that you know the word marchander. Marchander, it's a verb that means to bargain. Marchander. And I think you mentioned that you bargained by accident with the French language, no? That you bargained really hard for something that was actually quite cheap, no? You mentioned to me a story like that.
We haven't been here very long, and so it was before you taught us our numbers and money. And when the gentleman told me, I was looking for a little crock to put in the kitchen, a little jar to put utensils in, and I found one that was just the size I wanted, and I knew I didn't really want to go over a certain amount. And when he told me how much it was, I misunderstood, and I thought he told me it was 15 euro, but actually what he said. It was €1.50.
€1,50. Oui.
So I told it when he told me how much it was, and I thought he said, that it was 15. I said, oh no.
15 euros.
I put it back down, and he said, he said,
€1?
yeah. I said,
€1, madame,
and
€1.
he said, oui. I said, oh, okay. And I was so embarrassed because and he thought that 150, I was just like, oh no, I'm gonna spend that. I'll spend one. Anyway.
Maybe it's a new skill, like this bargaining skill that you are developing in France. Le marchandage. Well, that's quite funny.
got so embarrassed we couldn't go to that part of the flea
I
market
did
the
get
rest of the
Oh,
I felt terrible. But it was fun. It was a fun thing. And I brought the crock home. I have it now. So, and it has a story.
it has a story, exactement. Une anecdote, exactement. You are saying that now you live in La Rochelle. For how long is your contract for the flat? Le bail.
3
Le bail
years.
means like the locative contract.
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years. And what is, I don't know if you just live in the now, in the moment, or if you have little expectation for the future or plans, because I know that in the USA you had more like this kind of rural lifestyle where you live in the countryside, you had a car, etc. And now you are basically enjoying all the town pleasure of France, le marché, la ville de La Rochelle, etc. But do you have any like ideas for the future? Are you going to stay in La Rochelle, or are you going towards more like a country house? Like what do you have in mind for the future, if you want to share it with us?
Short answer, we have no idea.
We don't know. Yeah, we really don't. We're happy here now, and we don't have any other plans, so we'll stay here, I guess, as long as
Until we find,
until we know
yes,
something different.
I have found a village on my bicycle near Semur that is lovely, lovely. And we went on out there and had lunch one day at the Village Grill. Was that what it was? Something. And it was great. It has everything we need. It has small houses with garages and a backyard that I could put a little shop back there. And
it's on the bus line to La Rochelle.
it's on the bus line.
Yeah.
So, so that's enticing. But at the same time, some of the things we love about La Rochelle is being able to walk to the central market and all these things. Is it going to be nice when you have to get on the bus and come on in to do that? So, yeah, it's still out on what we're going to do. Our plans are not in concrete, I don't think. We're still in flux.
But how amazing is that? If you compare yourself with your friends back in the USA, I think a lot of people have, a lot of life plans. Like things are quite not rigid, but everything is kind of planned and designed, and they have a clear idea of like where the future lays. But I think the fact that you have this kind of youth, like young mindset where you don't know and you seem to be quite happy, it doesn't make you unsettled. I think it's kind of, you have this kind of adventurous mind, about it. I'm kind of amazed by it. Like, how does that feel? How does that feel not to know and to feel okay about it? Like, is it completely new for you, this kind of mindset?
I don't know if it's any different. When we moved to North Carolina, our niece, when she found out we were moving to France, she said, "You're moving to France? You're just going to get up and move?" And her sister said, "Oh, that's what they did when they moved to North Carolina." Didn't know anybody there either. So maybe that is us. I don't know.
It's been difficult to do, but it's been good for us, because if we were still in North Carolina, we would still be doing the exact same thing every day, and which was fine. It was good. We had things the way we wanted it there. But I think the way I see it, I think this just sort of woke us up more to make this move, and to have all these new things and learning a new language, and everything is so completely different from what it was there as far as just
Everything.
everything that just the atmosphere, every single thing is different. Something that just keeps us awake and learning new things all the time. And I like that about it. It's hard, but I like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been good. Good move.
And learning the language as well, le français. It's a challenge.
Like you say, just
Petit à
petit
petit.
à petit.
Ah yes, you like this expression. Petit à petit, l'oiseau fait son nid. You remember the expression? You told me you
Yes,
like
I
it.
remind myself
Yeah.
almost every day of that. When I start to get frustrated that I'm not learning quickly enough, learning the language, I remind myself of that. It takes time, little by little.
It's a gym. It's a gym, and it's important to be regular. Any life-saving expressions in French that you want to share with people who are listening to us and maybe they don't know any French and they move or they are already here? Any sentences that are very important for you in French?
Well, always the greeting, bonjour, very important. Very important. The common courtesy will just take you. I mean, it opens doors and makes people friendlier. They're more accepting. To that bonjour is so important. And
And when they speak to you and you don't understand what they say, if you say désolé, I mean that you can see their expression change when they go, he's trying.
He's trying. Yeah. Yeah, the
Il essaye.
courtesies, are so important.
Right.
But that's what we have to say about La Rochelle. The people have been so kind.
Yeah,
Everyone has been
Yes.
so kind.
very welcoming.
You mentioned that, yeah.
Well, yes, yeah.
And that maybe would have been different if you were, let's say, in Paris or in Bordeaux or in Nice. The fact that there is little of you in La Rochelle, maybe that also makes people friendlier, no?
Maybe so.
They are friendlier. They're more open. I think. I think they're open. There's a lot of French that speak English, and they'll ask how we're finding it here, and they're just real helpful. They really are. And, it's been a good move. Good move.
Good for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't ask you anything about that, but how does your daughter and your petits-enfants, the grandchildren, feel about you coming to France when you announced them that? How did they react?
They maybe were surprised that we actually did it, because I had been talking to our daughter for a while. She knew that I wanted to do it, but Daddy didn't want to come, or we just didn't think we would really do it. And so I think they were quite surprised, maybe, that we finally
Maybe.
made that decision and actually did it. And so, I think it's been good. It's been good to be able to be around them more. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Because I think also what I find interesting is that you don't rely on your daughter. You want to, respect her independence, her life, and every time you do things on your own. You mentioned to me that I don't know, for the taxation, or you didn't want to ask her. You wanted to manage by yourself. I think it's important for you, no?
Or anyone, to have to help us to do things. And so we wanted to have that independence.
Right. It was incredible. We've been coming here for 20 years. We never learned any French. We never learned how anything worked, because we always depended on them. When we come, we stay. And they, translated everything. We can't live like that.
Yeah.
So, let's not try to rely on them.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons for having the distance between us. I think that it was one of the reasons why we decided to live on the Atlantic coast instead of in Normandy, is so that we would be more independent and do things on our own. And so it's been an important factor.
Yeah, they can't tell us what to do.
I think you find the sweet spot because you are in the same country, and as you mentioned, I recognize myself because I lived in China, I lived in New Zealand, and when I was in another continent from my family, it was hard. I didn't think that I was that attached to being close to my family, but when you are in another continent, you are thinking, what if something happened health-wise, and you feel the distance, and just to know that there is this proximity in terms of the distance, it's really it can make things easier for you, like you feel more I mean, it's your child, it's your family, so and you don't need to be next to them, so I think that's you find a good balance, un bon équilibre. I like to ask the people I interview at the end, what would you say as an advice, or even not necessarily an advice, but a feedback towards your position today, aujourd'hui, what would you say to people who are maybe still in their home country and they are listening to us and they are like kind of making research the same way that you did when you were in the USA, when you were watching all those videos, and they're kind of thinking, what should I do next? Should I go? Should I not go? And maybe people who were like you, Mike, who were like, oh my God, that's crazy. C'est fou. I have my life here. So what would you say to the people who are still kind of on the fence and they dream of a life in France? They feel the pull, but they still don't know if they can make it happen. What would you say to them?
My specific reason for wanting to come here is because of family. And so I think I would tell them to maybe really know what your reason is for wanting to do it, because we were very committed. We don't have any property or anything except other than family and friends back in the States. And so when we decided to make the move, we knew it was going to be a permanent move, and we had no ideas or anything about wanting to go back once we came here. So I think your reason for wanting to come here needs to be really grounded, and to really think about that before you start making the move, and to do research, lots of research. Learn as much of the language as you can, because it's very difficult to not be able to understand or speak the language in everyday life. It makes things so much more comfortable, much easier if you can communicate in the language. So that's what we're learning, and knowing for certain if it's what you want to do, and then doing lots of research.
Right. I'd agree with that. If you're thinking about moving, don't think about it too long. I mean, you can think and think and think and never do anything. So if you're going to do it, commit and do it. I mean, what's there to lose? I mean, if you're wanting to move here, if you're running away from something, don't do that. You got to be running towards something. Mm-hmm. And as what Dee says, the language. See, I was one of those guys where I said, I don't have to do anything. Once I get over there, it's immersion. I'm just going to learn by osmosis. Well, obviously that doesn't work. And that was a hard lesson. But I thought I'd be fluent by now. It is what
it's good to be realistic. Yeah, to know, okay, yeah. And the immersion and the exposure is wonderful, but you also need foundations. So that's important to know.
Exactly,
you need to work on the foundations.
Yeah, and I have to say that the lessons we've had with you have been so helpful as far as helping us to integrate, to learning just the basic things in everyday life, as far as especially how to say different phrases, and using numbers and money and all the little basic things that you don't even really think about until you get here. The things that you've helped us with have been really...
That's right. You taught us how to make a reservation at a restaurant.
Yeah, and what to say once you get there.
That's right. And we've used that.
Well, thank you as well, because you are bringing me the topics, and like every time you're like, oh yeah, there is this very situation, and that is hard, and I think it's good to have like kind of also the French that you need for this very situation. And I remember you mentioning like the delivery, how to answer the, to the interphones when someone asks you something, or all those little situations on the day-to-day life. It's important for you to feel secure that you can handle by yourself. So hopefully it's going to get easier and easier for you. Petit à petit. Petit à petit.
And we've seen a difference already. We can tell from when we first got here that it is over time, it is getting easier and easier to deal with daily situations that come up. And
Très bien. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I hope it could inspire people and merci beaucoup. And I will put below the references that you mentioned, the book, and also the relocation agency your daughter works for, that you also recommend. So I will put all of this information below. If you also want to share, you mentioned a place to hunt for the flats in La Rochelle, like you used was it a real estate place that you used?
she's in Paris, but she
Okay.
helped us. Yeah, she's the one who
found this place?
she found us for us.
Yeah, if you want to share all the details, I can put, because I know people will ask those questions, so I anticipate. So feel free
sure will.
to send me the link. Yeah.
We'd be happy to do
Well,
that.
I'd love to.
Super. Merci beaucoup, Mike and Diane, et bonne journée.
All right.
And
Bonne
bonne
journée.
journée to you.
Bye-bye.
À bientôt. Au revoir.
À bientôt. Au revoir.
If you are learning French and looking for a bit more structure and guidance, I also share a free weekly newsletter called Feel Good French Friday. It's designed especially for beginners and expats or future expats with simple content in French to help you build a regular learning routine. Because apps and the internet are amazing, a lot of free content out there, but sometimes having a bit of direction and support from a teacher and a language coach can really make a difference. You can sign up for free. The link will be below the video.